there's a study which has said is that if you start smoking weed at, I think it's between the age of 15 to 18, your brain isn't fully developed. Therefore, it changes your brain chemistry. Now, I've always heard that I'm not a weed man, so I don't smoke, but my bedrooms smoke. But they will say, "Raw, it's the seeds."
I've seen the effects of someone having a breakdown. No, a breakdown. They actually had a proper breakdown. He weren't talking to nobody. I just go and one of my close friends, I go and chat to him. I talked to him through a door because he was that heavily affected by it. It doesn't affect people. But I mean, people like to try and lighten how it affects people's mental state. It affects people's mental state very heavily. So for me, I think we underestimate the effects that weed has. But I don't think it should be linked in any way to what took place.
2 comments, we're going to move on. You, then you.
So I'm not a smoker or the weed cakes or the teas or whatever. However, we know there are different strands. There is the natural strand, and there's all of these artificial, these mix and blend.
It's kind of like, if you know Cat Williams, but yeah.
So what I would I suppose suggest and put out there is for those that are twisting and combining and doing all of these chemical combinations, the outcomes to those cannot be classed the same way of someone that's smoking potentially a natural herb that's grown on God's green earth,
King Solomon's bread,
around the corner.
But first and foremost, I don't believe they should ban it. All right. However, all right, there are certain things that I would actually say about it. Weed affects every person differently.
Yes, I agree.
And people don't understand that. Do you know what I mean? And this comes from, there's probably a few of us in the room that's done it. All right. I mean, I've tasted a weed cake, for example, before. All right.
Same.
And
Overseas legally.
but I had a weed cake and it don't have that nice effect on myself. For example,
that's the right one.
Lace your crack.
Idiot. Because I know you've had one and it messed you up. So let's not even go into. Yeah. So basically, it affects everybody differently, innit? And I would say to everybody, like, so when he's come up with saying to himself, he had that episode, he could have had a psychotic break, and that might be the reason that he done what he did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? However, that obviously doesn't make him any less accountable for what happened. However, he shouldn't have had the weed in the first place if that's the. Know to yourself, it can affect you differently, and it does affect everybody differently. And some people need to take things in different portions and so on and so forth. So they just need to be a bit more cautious of how they.
Right.
Yeah.